arriving some 15 minutes early at the studio of a certain Ms. Acacia Combray, set in a block of crumbling 1930s progressive social housing. He checked his invite, which read, "You are cordially invited to attend an event of moot significance. You accept this invitation at your own cognizance, upon the understanding that no responsibility for potential subsequent effects will be accepted by the organizer." And in smaller script italics, "There will be an open bar." He checks the door, upon which is a sign which reads, "No smoking," in large block print, restated in several languages, including Mandarin and Arabic. It is unlocked, silence beyond, so he proceeds to wait, hunched in the windy stairwell of the next story up, wondering what possible effect that rather obscure invitation might accomplish, and remembering the gem-like urban German bricolage purloined in similar circumstances in another life. A short while later, the curt percussions of stiletto and soft pad and groomed exchange of maybe aesthete, hack or artisan, critical buyer, condensed from below. Presently, he unfolds aching pins to ease himself silently down the stairs, to slide into the room as inconspicuously as possible. Narrow, with two windows to the left, both blacked out, and oddly exhibiting no notable art or pictures, a single orange light bulb illuminating a dark panel of some 24 inches square, mounted under perspex on the far wall, and overhead the soft hum of two projection devices of some sort, mounted high up on pop-up shelving, angled at the image from opposite two corners at the level of the picture rail. Now, various attitudes of art consideration discreetly assumed as the number in the room gradually increases. The eyebrow and lip shrug. What the fuck is this? The one arm supporting the elbow of the other. Geometry. The thoughtful aside to a companion. I'm supported in my views. Forefinger placed as if to hush the lips. I will reserve judgment. The oscillating biro near the cheek. Accuracy of recollection. The head rocked slightly to the left and then the right. I seek the form. The judiciously timed step and crane forward in closer scrutiny of the object, with invisible monocle dropping. Observe the artfulness of my observation. The clearly labelled bar, such as it was, consisted of a bottle of Rose's lime juice, a disposable plastic cup, jibingly anchored with a length of string, and a bottle of generic H2O arranged on a wooden chair. It was given a wide, incredulous berth, quite deservedly so, as they waited for something to happen, a context which might elucidate the situation. The image itself was quite indeterminate, unreadable even, like a slightly reflective hole in the wall, like a hologram of nothing. The chin that comes to rest on his shoulder says, "There is nothing for me in this world." His colleague, in oversized padded headphones, bloodshot in phone light, glances up briefly to scan the room again himself. "Hugh Warner's nursery rhyme collection?" he inquired. "Ear protection," he mouthed silently. Moss, Camford Classic and Chemgrad, now self-for-4-sectioned OCDC astrophysics blogger, subsisted on some small mysterious stipend, stabilized on a strict custom cocktail, Emogeo, Erostric, Astrojaunt, Psychoptic, whilst deliriously excessive in his more esoteric musings, was so lucid in his hypothetical output proper that ultimately there was no lasting cause to question the relative state of his reason. Isn't that Rory Gaskell, media Theo, correspondent at the whatever? He mimicked the characteristic expressive flick of the old hand-rolled cohiba of the incognito gent, now absurdly sporting false beard, lensless horn rims and Burberry beanie, as they proceeded to murmur on with the ease of a long-time negotiated understanding, whilst dropping the odd appropriate art word into the field of general audibility to avoid any potential perception of subterfuge. The party now mostly assembled, the teenage girl that silently enters in graduated Garbo-esque sunglasses, wafts her way to stand, fragile and black before the frame, begins speaking quietly with the solemn deliberation of a priestess in what sounds like some appalling pidgin French. The assembly gradually falls silent to listen. No, not fucking performance art. Is that the artist? From the 10-minute monologue or incantation, a few choice words could just be extracted. Among them, resonance, temporal, frequency, echo, slit, modulation, reflection, strobe, asynchronous, pattern, fully, looped, functioning, feedback, optical, wave, device, entanglement, mirror, interference, paradox, consciousness, spatial, parallax. The words oddly entwining into an idea in a stifled preconscious for some reason. After each sentence the girl would hold a handkerchief up to her mouth. And Moss was recording the speech, presumably to transcribe later. Psst! My ears are popping. Can you hear it? No. Must be those projectors at back, he voiced. Sounds like cooling fans revving up. So, ashen in the sickly orange glow, ceremoniously she makes a passing gesture rather like an air hostess for the group to clear the centre of the room and stand behind the two lines of brightly glowing phosphorescent tape that had been stretched to make a path through the centre of the floor. The appropriate questions are flashed at the girl at this juncture, but to no avail. The waif-like statue in the increasing miasma, nervously thumbing what looks like a remote control, purposely avoids any eye contact and gazes fixedly at the door, fingers twitching almost imperceptibly as though counting or waiting for a sign of some sort. You know, I'm feeling a little nauseous and going out for some air. I'm staying, says Moss, now flicking a glance to other figures about the room. Sure? He nods resignedly and taps his headphone. Some 5 minutes later, Dee observes the teenager discreetly exit the building and exchange words with two men in viswear tops and baseball caps pulled down low over their eyes, who are waiting outside. Just as he finishes his smoke, there is the muffled sound of shouting and raised voices from the apartment above, and a short while later, the neighborhood lights briefly flicker and go out. And as they come on again, there is a loud bang and a crash as a shower of glass falls to the street, narrowly missing an innocent passerby, whose dog had fortuitously forced him to stop at some new point of particular interest amongst the railings. As he re-enters the foyer, the scuffle of urgent footsteps, commotions from above, arguing, cursing, wailing, and frenetic mobile beeping. He begins to make his way up to investigate, as slightly singed figures push past him in assorted forms of disarray, to discharge noisily into the street in various directions. A man sits on the stairs trembling, head in hands. Don't go up there, man, he says. It's bad charm. Something wrong, they play mumbo up there. He judiciously avoids the trail of vomit and other fresh, artful gesticulations on the walls and handrails, like some spontaneous soily protest, and continues his ascent a little more cautiously. As he moves to enter the room, the two workmen push past him in dust masks, heaving large flight cases and bags. The room is quite transformed in the twilight, the blackout curtains flapping wildly in the through-draft from the glassless windows. A man lies on the floor in a pool of urine, a sweating, quivering pile of humanity. Pulse accelerated, but steady. Seems okay. A woman robed in black is kneeling facing the wall, murmuring in rapt prayer. In the far corner, another figure is rocking slowly back and forth, singing Sweet Chariot and laughing quietly to himself. Both the picture, the projectors, and even the tape on the floor are all gone, and the few meagre objects now strewn about the room make it resemble a temporary squat. You missed the panto, said a hooded figure emerging from the darkness. You know how I love theatrics, said Moss in a tone of mock innocence, unzipping his snorkeler. Dee looked about the room with a controlled expression of perturbation. Holy Jim, I gotta go. Check my blog later, kid, he sang, mirthfully skipping out of the room, seemingly quite unaffected by whatever it was that had happened. Shortly afterwards, a transient is logged at data flow monitoring in Durgapur and Shanghai, as several terabytes of super-compressed data are transmitted from an unregistered moving location on Manchester Street and relayed to a ghost recipient near St. Augustine. Now, with the sound of distant approaching sirens, he too decides to make a swift exit. Must have climbed the stairs too fast, as they walk slightly as he descends, deliberately edging slowly past the small crowd that had gathered across the road, round a dishevelled figure of some surprised-looking minstrel-faced figure, flopped under the ripped awning of the wine bar, with an exploded cigar in his mouth, only missing a halo of cartoon sparrows, he thought. Snippets of conclusions, gas leaks, indoor fireworks, screaming scimitars on crystal, social media snuff crew cribs, radicals, rap posses, holy shit occultists and druggists, the unspeakably quaint underlying terror of suburbia. In the cab, the heavens finally open. Considering organic compounds, he gazed vaguely at the dim sum of life across the river, like smeared atoms, with the bulging veins on the back of his hand, black in the orange lights of Soho, as the taxi passed imperceptibly through a vast invisible wall.